I'm here to talk about overlanding, from how-tos, advice, gear, vehicle builds, and everything in between. Oh, hey there, I'm Jeff. Welcome to Oh, Hey There with Jeff. Today I have Andy from Warren Industries with us, and we're going to go through the internal workings of a winch. This is kind of the basics when you're just getting started out. How does this thing all work?
Yeah.
So walk me through what is happening inside of this.
Sure. So basically on this winch and most of our winches, you have three distinct components really. You have your motor end here, you've got your drum here, and you've got your gear end housing here. Up top is your control box, right? So all your electronics are going to be up here. They're going to come down and connect to your electric motor.
Sure.
Got some wiring back here. That's going to go to your battery. And so you'll mount this using the feet on the bottom and some bolts. And then you'll wire your winch up to your battery. You'll have your rope. In this case, this is our Spydor rope because this is a Xeon 12S, so the S stands for synthetic. You have a fair lead.
Okay.
Fair lead is used, would be put on the front of your bumper, and that's going to allow the rope to come through and guide it onto the winch.
Sure.
So in addition, you have controls, right? So you have to be able to operate this. So you have your remote. Our Xeons come with a remote with a 12-foot lead. You've got an in and out here on the winch.
Okay.
And then additionally, if you were interested in doing a remote control setup, on your Xeon we offer a wireless control system. And what this does is this part plugs directly into where you would plug in the remote.
Gotcha.
And then you have your transmitter that allows you to operate the winch wirelessly. Cool. Some people, if you've got a bumper that requires a tight mounting space for the winch, and this won't fit on here, this part up here, this control box is actually removable.
Okay.
So this can be removed, mounted elsewhere using a relocation kit. This goes ahead and mounts on here.
Sure.
So how it actually works. So electric motor powered by your battery, right? As you operate the winch, this is going to turn the motor, and running through the drum here is a drive shaft. So through the drive shaft, and then in the center here is your brake. It works like a drum brake.
Ah, gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
So it presses out on the drum. But so the drive shaft goes through the drum, and then into your motor or your gear end housing, and this is a 3-stage planetary gear train. So what that is going to do is reduce your engine motor speed, okay, and it's going to add a bunch of torque. That's going to give you all that ability to pull up to 12,000 pounds with this winch. So in here you've got a bunch of gears, some lubricant, and of course you've got a clutch.
Okay.
So your clutch is going to take you from free spool, meaning you can pull the rope out with without any tension on here. This whole thing will rotate. And then when you're ready to winch, you take your clutch, move it over in the engaged position, and then you will use your remote and begin winching in.
Okay.
So there are a couple of winches that we offer, and I know you guys run our Xeon Platinum on a couple of your vehicles. That actually doesn't have a clutch handle at all.
Right.
Everything is done wirelessly with our advanced wireless remote, including the clutch operation.
Sure.
So it is simple, but you do need to learn how to use the winch properly. So make sure that you're familiar with your winch, that you've practiced using it before you need to use it.
Sure, sure. Now on something like this, what makes this the 12,000 pound winch? What makes it 10,000 or so on? Like, how does that differentiate with what's inside of the winch?
So, for instance, on our Xeon line, we offer 8,000, 10,000, and 12,000 pound capacities. And the biggest differentiator on those is your gear ratios.
Okay.
So, certain winches are going to have different gear ratios that provide faster line speed. Certain gear ratios are going to offer slower line speed but increased pulling capacity. So, the 12,000 is generally not as fast as an 8,000, but it pulls more because of that gear ratio.
Okay.
So, but all of the Xeon winches, for instance, this is all metal, right?
Sure.
And this acts as a heat sink too, because of course heat is generated by an electric motor. So the nice thing about this winch is it actually draws the heat out because it's all metal.
Sure. Okay.
And then a winch like this is waterproof, so it can be used in all kinds of situations. It's going to keep the water out, going to keep the elements, the mud, the dirt, the sand out, and it could be used underwater if it needed to be.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So now if I'm like just getting into the off-road scene, I just got my first 4-wheel drive vehicle and I know that I want to make this more of a lifestyle. I'm looking to buy my first winch. What do I need to look for?
Yeah, we get this question quite often. How do I choose the right capacity for my vehicle?
Yeah.
We have a pretty simple formula. You take the gross vehicle weight rating of your vehicle, and that's going to be the vehicle weighted down with you, all your passengers, all your gear. It's going to be the maximum amount of weight that you can have in the vehicle. You can usually find that gross vehicle weight rating on a decal or in the door jamb.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And if you're not familiar with it, you can always find it online.
Yep.
So you take that gross vehicle weight rating and you multiply it by 1.5.
Okay.
The result is going to be your minimum pulling capacity, right? So that doesn't mean you can go. It doesn't mean you can't go up, right? So, for instance, say you're pulling your formula gives you a weight rating of 9,600 pounds. I would probably go up to a 10,000 pound winch.
Sure.
Right, in that respect. So that's how you would select the capacity. And then we offer a whole host of features on our different products, as do a bunch of other manufacturers. And then you want to think about what are those things that I want. Is waterproof important to me?
Yeah.
Is having an easy to turn clutch handle important to me? What are my wireless options?
Right.
So think about what it is that you want, think about your budget, and think about what the bumper this is going into or what mounting system this is going into. Not all winches fit in all mounting systems.
Yep.
We make a whole host of bumpers and mounting systems, but if you have a brand outside of Warren, make sure you contact that manufacturer before you purchase your winch, just to make sure that it fits so you don't have to do a return.
Let's say I'm a guy who's maybe going to use this once a year. And I'm thinking, wow, do I need synthetic? Do I go with cable? Do I need waterproof? Do all of that stuff? What's a simple way for a guy to just be like, nope, I'm going to get this one, put on my rig, assuming everything's going to fit?
Right. So again, just kind of think about, how am I going to use it? Am I going to use it a lot? Do I want a winch cover on it? Generally, a winch cover is a great idea. If you live in a very, very humid environment, I generally say keep it uncovered. It just helps keep moisture out of it.
Yeah.
If you live somewhere like Arizona or somewhere in Texas that gets a ton of sun, putting a winch cover on it is going to help prevent fading, which is a good thing. With regards to steel versus synthetic, it's a totally personal preference kind of issue, right?
Yep.
Steel rope is extremely durable. It can be winched over things. It's kind of a set it and forget it thing. Granted, you should be inspecting your winch ropes regardless.
Right.
But steel rope is extremely durable. It's good for utility tasks if you're skidding logs or something like that, right? Synthetic rope, like our Spydura synthetic over here, is lightweight, easy to handle. It won't develop the sharp barbs. It also doesn't store quite as much potential energy as a wire rope would. So I personally run synthetic on my vehicle. It's nice to save the weight. You save 12, 18 pounds on the front of your vehicle. It is lightweight, easy to handle. I do a fair amount of winching and a lot of winch education and winch demos.
Yeah.
So I'm winching quite a bit compared to a lot of people. So really just kind of think about which do you think suits your lifestyle better. Regardless, you should be using a winch damper to keep some weight on those lines while you're winching. So always follow those best winching practices to make sure you keep yourself safe and your vehicle from getting damaged.
Sure. Then along the lines of inspection stuff, is there maintenance involved with a winch?
Our winches are pretty maintenance free.
Okay.
If you have a winch that is not waterproof, that is, for instance, not this Xeon, and you're regularly submerging it. Now, I'm not talking about sits outside in the rain or you take a quick dunk in a river or something. I'm talking about it's underwater for a good amount of time. You're regularly doing it. So if you don't have a waterproof winch and you're doing that, it's not a bad idea to pull it apart, clean it out, re-grease things, just to make sure that you're not going to get any mud and gunk in the gear or the motors. It just kind of depends on the situation.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Great. Well, yeah, winches are a great tool if you're getting into the overlanding lifestyle or off-road lifestyle. So that kind of sums it up, I think, of what this all looks like. Keep in mind that there are a lot of options out there. Make sure you're buying something that's a quality product, especially something that has a lot of safety concerns when you're starting to use it. I mean, I don't want you to be afraid of this, but make sure you're getting something to keep everyone safe when they are using it.
Yeah, it's a good idea. You got to respect the product. You got to learn how to use it. It's an amazing tool, but it needs your full respect and it needs education.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. All right, well, thank you, Andy. I really appreciate it. That's it for us, guys. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. I'd like to hear your winching experiences and stories. Let's have a conversation about it, and we'll talk to you next time.